Alright, let's see this presidential debate.
Just take a look at what he says.
Trump versus Biden.
That didn't work.
Look, story history.
He
Now
called
we
it
have to wait
Brandon?
for it.
What the fuck was that? What's going on? Momentum, ladies and gentlemen. Esteemed political analyst, Substack writer, writes for other outlets as well now, not just Substack. It's starting, it's beginning, and I'm sharing the screen so you can watch it with me. I'm stoked. I'm tapped in. I'm locked in.
Here comes
Oh
the
God.
Oh no, not the walk.
He walks like too. He's walking
No,
like. Oh, he's got no
they
riz.
going walk for walk.
Oh,
And
he's got
then
no riz. He's got no
No.
riz.
How
They're
is he going
both on.
slower?
He's walking rizless.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120.
Oof, they're coming in hot.
And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president.
Oh, he sounds like.
Mr. Trump left.
No, he's got a
It
cold.
was in free fall. The pandemic was so
what happened with the
badly
boys?
handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach in your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible.
What he said?
And so what we had to do was try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done.
The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world, he's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter
We're just slurring the word.
is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began.
He inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months, and then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power.
Okay,
He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our
here's him.
country's life.
Child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with
Forgot.
everything we have to do with, look.
Oh no.
No, not the side eye.
Oh no.
Deteriorating.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Oh, they cut him
He
off.
did beat.
This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Come on, good. Bring it back.
However,
This is a good one. This
federal government
is a good
still
one for the
plays a
Democrats. Come
role
on,
in
Joe.
whether
Don't f this
women
up,
have
Joe.
access
Stop the fact.
to abortion
Believe.
pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it.
The vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they were all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help.
He said
The
him
idea
as
that
a doctor.
states
He's not
are able
woke.
to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant. coming in.
You're talking about abortion, man.
Here's the deal. There's a lot of young women are being by their in-laws,
Short-circuiting.
by their spouses, brothers and sisters.
I don't know the stories.
It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women
And
murdered
this choice
by the
can
same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. Considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world.
He said immigrant
And these killers are
victims
coming
need
into our country.
abortions.
There are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
Ban?
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it.
He's
In
cooking.
the final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president.
But you did.
Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history.
He called
Now
him
we have the worst
Brandon?
border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel.
Yeah.
More than 1,000
Yo, get ready
people.
for the dick riding. Get ready for the dick
Here
riding.
comes the
Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages.
That's not an answer. You're just repeating the deal that he's
Second
saying
phase
no
is a
to.
ceasefire with additional conditions.
The question is,
third
what
phase
Yeah.
will you do to pressure
the end
him?
of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas.
Israel and Hamas. Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
What
President Biden, you
the
have
was that?
It's foolishness. This is the guy who wants.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All
is he
over the world,
saying?
we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
He encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in that dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases. Scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
Oh, he said it!
And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on. Number two, The idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are
You can
still
tell his
charged with.
strong elements. Like you can tell when he's like invested. This is one of those things.
For molesting
Typical
a woman
old
in
man
public,
doesn't give a shit about
doing
anything.
A whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about? you have the morals of an alley cat.
No
What?
morals.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent.
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN
Bro,
presidential debate.
Bro. I've never seen a bigger layup get flubbed so abysmally. Like, this is incredible. Banger after banger. They sent
He is too old. He's just actually too old.
No,
It's not
literally.
like-
It looks
It's not
like
a perception problem.
it literally looks like he's trying to push the finish. Like, it looks like they are trying to push him through the finish line. Like, he's gonna die the moment that he's in office if he actually ends up like winning, which his chances are looking less likely after today.
Yeah, he's he needs to be president until he's 86. Like he just needs to do that for
Dude,
some reason.
What the? I mean, look, the expected thing was obviously the gyration session that we saw for Israel dick riding, and even then, like
Yeah.
that was whatever, right? They quickly glanced at CNN's not going to cover it. They don't want to make up a big stink. However, the abortion question, that's a layup. They gave that to you, dog. You boofed it. He turned
Literally his
around and was
worst
like,
issue.
immigrants? Like,
Bring
what
up
were
his
you?
worst issue of every issue. He
He
has a 20% approval rating on immigration.
Yeah.
Abortion is the sole issue that people trust him on.
And he turned it into the issue that he's like one of the weakest on, which is so insane. I've never seen such a absolute masterclass in how to genuinely just like flub clear cut alley oops. Oh my
Yeah.
Lord, dude.
The only like silver lining for this is that people already thought Biden was like this to begin with, and he was already kind of competitive still. So like it might not change anything. Like people already thought this was what he was like.
No, dude, this is not for those people though. This is not for those people. This is for Pennsylvania voters. This is for voters in like Georgia. This is for voters in these are for like the 20% that's still like, oh, I don't really like either candidate. I don't know what's going on. Like, you know, that's the reason why it's so early. The reason why they did this so early was because the Biden team thought if Biden can perform, right, low expectations, and Biden performs, and then Trump says like a bunch of crazy nonsense, right, then like those voters will be reminded of how chaotic Donald Trump was. And there is no way that you can hack job this into a manageable situation for Biden that like makes Trump look worse.
There's more coming up,
And
right?
Biden
So
look better because every
let's see.
frame, side by side, he's looking like a doddering old fool looking in the other direction. It's so fucking bad. Yeah, and obviously the massive moment of the debate is like when he flubbed it, when he just went and then just like stopped himself.
Every moment.
I mean, it's just like the split screen is absolutely cooking him because I don't think he's aware that he's on camera all the time. And when he's on camera all the time, he just looks like he's like gazing off and seeing the Grim Reaper in the other side of the goddamn room. You know what I mean? Does he still believe this pre-debate take? New article on debate tomorrow. While conservatives may not want to admit it.
I was trying to be conservative here. I thought that like, well, it doesn't matter how bad Biden does. People already think he's like terrible. He's totally out of it. So like that's gonna be a wash. But like you do to make Trump look bad, you kind of have to like apply some pressure onto him.
Yeah.
And Biden's just not doing that at all. Honestly, it makes me kind of like appreciate like kind of bring back Hillary a little bit because like she won that first debate in 2016. She like did a good job then. God.
It's actually crazy. There are so many instances where like they're throwing Biden
Seriously, young
layups.
guys, huh?
They're like obviously tough on him too to a certain degree with like the expected issues like, you know, inflation, things like that, immigration. But like it's just it's back.
38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever.
H2O.
And we were using
Aqua.
all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way,
He's dying.
psychologists.
He's dead.
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
Yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000
Come on, this is good.
pays 6% of their
Good
income,
policy talk.
of their
Raise the
paycheck.
cap. Raise the
Every
cap.
single time they get a paycheck is the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old.
He's gonna give
The
a Twitch
idea
Prime
that
to
they're
every
not-
Social
I'm not-
Security
I've been
recipient,
proposing that
so they don't see the
everybody
3-minute ad break at the
making-
top of the hour.
Good one.
Millionaires pay 1%.
Twitch Prime is free,
1%.
folks.
So no one after
Ad break incoming.
not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, it began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
This was good. This was a good answer.
Because he wants to get
I
rid
wish
of
he did
Social
this
Security.
more.
He doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody?
Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns
layup for
about
Trump.
your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know.
aced them.
We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just
Laughing.
one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2
It's
cognitive
Dunk City
tests.
right
I
now.
took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what you're. Anyway, just take a look at what he says.
Oh,
and
he
it's-
tried to
it's
dunk
what
back.
he
That
is.
didn't work.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him.
No.
I
So
got my
bad.
handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way,
Oh,
I
they're
told you
so
before, how
lame.
can we
They're
play
so
golf
lame.
if
This
you
is
carry
like
your own
real.
bag?
He hates
You
it.
do it.
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8
Oh
handicap.
God, I want to shoot me into the sun.
I have-
Shoot
you know,
me into the
I've
sun
seen you
right
swing, I know
now.
you swing.
You,
Okay, let's
you know
not
how
act
many
like
rounds you
children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's
Right.
not act like children.
You
to
are
a
a child.
specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I
So
made
he
on
won't say that.
Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
Dia tinggal nama pesan.
Legal and good election? Absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week.
Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with
Got
more
him.
from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
Bro, that was crazy.
Bisa
Biden's fat
kok
shaming
kalau dia
Oh yeah, I mean that was he tried. The problem is he
I
tried
guess.
and he failed because he flubbed it when he's like, "You're 6'5", 200," and that was insane, brother. That was
It was a
actually
reference to such an obscure thing. It was like about how like he like said his weight when he got put in for like the conviction in Georgia was 215, which is like funny, but I haven't thought about that in like a year.
yeah. I mean, that's there's a lot of bangers in there. Like the Alley Cat one was such a banger that they laid that up and tweeted it alongside, you know, like how Kamala released their merch drop in the primaries, like way back in the day. It's just like, dude.
I guess just the debate is over, so I guess I'll end the video there.